you're a Lumina Learning practitioner or considering getting qualified to bring Lumina Learning's tools into your workplace, and you want to know how to use the Share and Compare feature in the Lumina Splash app, you're in the right place. Hello, I'm Mireille, Solutions Lead with Lumina Learning and a facilitator and coach. Today, I'm going to walk you through the key steps to using the Share and Compare feature. Together, we'll explore how Share and Compare overlays two people's splashes to instantly highlight similarities and differences in their behavior, how to use the feature to spark powerful conversations, to build trust, improve teamwork, and help people value each other's different ways of being. The two ways to run a Share and Compare activity, either from your practitioner-enabled version of the app or between two participants on their own devices. How to use the persona switcher to explore how two people's behaviors change across their underlying, everyday, and overextended personas. But how can we go further than that, particularly when it comes to improving trust and teamwork and the ability to value different ways of being? It only takes a few minutes to do a Share and Compare. Each person will need their splash from the Lumina Spark portrait to do a full exploration of the three personas. For a quicker, high-level view, both people could use a taster splash or a custom splash. Share and Compare can be a great activity to do during coaching, team development sessions, feedback sessions led by managers, and even between colleagues in the workplace who simply want to understand each other better. There are two ways to do Share and Compare. You can guide one or both people using your own device, using the full Lumina Learning practitioner version of the app, or you can let them Share and Compare directly with each other on their own devices, without the practitioner version. To Share and Compare by scanning in a new splash, from the Your Splash page, click on Compare Splash. And then, because I have the portrait here, I can open it up to the back page where it has the QR code. And if I click on Scan a Splash code, the camera will then very quickly scan in the new splash. And there I have an overlay of Chris's splash and Emma's splash that I can now compare. And because I've scanned in a full version, I have all three personas available to me to compare. The underlying, the everyday, and the overextended. I'm going to do a Share and Compare, comparing me to my friend Chris. So I'm going to click on Compare. It's already in the gallery, so I'll go to Splash Gallery. And here we have my friend Chris sample. So now we can see both of our splashes overlaid on each other. And we can see that the one that's showing in yellow is me, Emma sample, and my friend Chris sample is the one that's in the full colors of the 8 aspects. We can actually switch it around so that Chris sample is now in his top aspect color, which is this dark red color, and that Emma is now the one in the full 8 aspect colors. So now that we have the two splashes overlaid, we can do a comparison of how they might be similar to each other or different from each other, how they might find it easier to work together or communicate together, and how they might find it harder. And because we've got their full splashes scanned in, we can compare at a combined persona level, but we can also use our persona switcher to go to the underlying, everyday, and overextended personas to have a really detailed conversation. Let's start in the everyday. So here we notice that they have some things in common. For example, they're both reasonably introverted, but also a little bit extroverted. They also have some degree of down-to-earth that they share. But perhaps our friend Emma here is a bit more big picture thinking than our friend Chris. Now, one place in which they really differ, where they might want to have a conversation, is around outcome focused. So let's take a look at that. So we can see that Emma has claimed only about 1% outcome focused in her everyday, whereas Chris is at 89%. So this would tell us that Chris has much more of a preference for being maybe logical, a little bit competitive, even quite tough, whereas Emma really does not have a preference for this. Now, this may mean that when they're working together, Chris's style is a bit more blunt than Emma would prefer, Maybe Chris wants to have a very logical conversation, whereas Emma wants to talk a bit more about how this is going to affect people. And they might find that they're not always speaking on the same level. So they might want to have a conversation about either how Chris can manage his outcome-focused tendencies a little bit, or maybe how Emma needs to tune them up a little bit when they're working together. Let's see what happens in their overextended. Now here we can see that they actually overextend in some of the same areas. So for example, they can both overextend in the big picture thinking. So they might need to be careful when working together, because they both might find that they let their imaginations run away with them, and they come up with ideas that are exciting, but perhaps a little unrealistic. So they might want to talk about how they can watch out for that in each other and maybe find a way to tone it down when they see it happening. On the other hand, we can see that that outcome-focused preference is still strong in the overextended for Chris and still very low for Emma. And this is in the overextended. So this is really where we might find that Chris is moving into that more argumentative place, that more conflict-driven place, whereas Emma perhaps, especially if we take a look at her people-focused, we can see at 98%, when she's under pressure, perhaps Emma is really going into a place of being very people-focused, wanting to have consensus, wanting to avoid conflict. So this could be a real problem for them. And so it'd be worth having a conversation about what they would do if that overextended situation was to arise. Please give us a follow on LinkedIn and subscribe to our channel. For similar walkthroughs and thought leadership, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on LinkedIn and follow the podcast. If you're a Lumina practitioner, then all of the materials from this video are available to you in the resource library. And if you're just getting to know the Lumina Learning perspective on helping organizations to perform at their best through developing more effective behaviors, you can grab our monthly email update for free resources and thought leadership events, or find out about using our tools in the description below.